So we are starting a new sermon series called Canceled. And I think a lot of us understand what it means to be canceled because it's all over the place. We say the wrong thing, or we think the wrong thing, or if we help the wrong way, immediately we are labeled outcast or people that don't really understand what's going on, or we are canceled. If we're not politically correct, we are canceled. If we step outside of what people say is normal or what people or society says is normal, then we are canceled. See, cancellation is not about being right or wrong. It's about the pressure of what society says is right and wrong. We get mixed up on what the society is saying versus what God is saying. And we have this pressure and this fear that we have to do everything completely right or say everything completely right, or we have to stay silent. And we as the church, we cannot live this way because we are called to live outside of society. We are called to push back against cancel culture because Jesus never once played it safe. He was always going against the norm. And so we have to take what Jesus has done and we have to do that in our lives as well. He has told us to love people. And sometimes loving people means doing the right thing, even when it's not popular. When it comes to helping others, being politically correct sometimes is not something that we can do. We have to realize that being politically correct most of the time is off the table, but obedience is always on the table. And that's where the tension starts to come in, because people want us to fit into this everyday life, and we are called to live outside of this everyday life. We are being canceled if we breathe air the wrong way. You catch yourself hesitating because you know that if you say the wrong thing, then that could lead to your downfall. You ask questions like, how will this sound? Will I offend others? Will I cross a line that I can't come back from? You start to think, can I help wrongly? And then when you do help and it's not how people think you should be helping, people call you irresponsible. And they demand that you explain why you did this. The fear is so real, especially of the criticism, the labels, and the idea that you need to stay quiet. It's so prevalent in today's society. I think of Jesus and him not allowing people to be outcast, and him going and seeking out those people that needed help. And I see his example, and we have to step into that example. Or if we don't, then we could be canceled by Jesus. Now, there are two different ideas here. And a lot of times we wait, and we wait, and we wait. And Jesus is calling us to move. He's telling us to go. I think of the fires that went through California, was it probably a year ago, right? And there's this idea that there's these houses that are on fire, and people are trapped in the mountains, and people are losing everything, and they're just grabbing what they can to get away, and they have nowhere to go. And they're waiting. And we as the church then have to step in and say, well, we have this place for you. And churches start to take up chairs, and they lay down cots for people. And they start brewing coffee, and they have cookies for people, just so that they have a place to call home. Now, if we were to wait, like many people want us to do, this could take months, it could take years for the aid that these people need to be able to get back in their homes, to be able to get money to go stay somewhere. I also think of the floods that hit Texas 6 months, 8 months ago. We've seen the stories of the floodwaters coming through and taking out that camp with all those Christian girls. We see the houses that were devastated in the path, and people are standing in their driveways, or what was left of their driveway, and there's no house, and people are missing, and we are told to wait. Yet the churches step in right away, and they start helping. While there are officials on site, we don't see the government in place helping like they should. There's red tape that has to be gone through. Again, churches put on their boots, they put on their gloves, they open up their facilities. They start digging through the mud to find people. Why? Because God has called us to do that. Same thing happened real close to here at West Lakes in 2015. We see floods happen. Sewers start to back up. Houses are devastated. And again, we are waiting for aid, and it just doesn't come. Yet we see churches go into these places. They start to help immediately. They start to pull people out. They have boats that are taking people out of this area to keep them safe. Now, I don't want you to hear me this morning when I say that the government is bad because there is processes in place. There needs to be structure and there needs to be processes in place, right? There has to be, or society falls all apart. And there are some really good people in the government that I know very personal that does really good job on going in and helping people. Yet we know that that takes time and it's not instant. And that's where the churches come in to help. We see neighbors and help, and then we go and do that. Again, this is not about government being bad. This is about us realizing that we need to help more. See, you've been challenged to obey Jesus. If you've decided to follow Jesus, you know that it's going to be challenging at times. You need to settle this in your soul now, that it's going to be hard. Obedience brings resistance. And we have to realize that when we go to help people, that our obedience is going to face struggle. Some people believe that there should be no role for the church to go into these situations and to help, that we should wait for structure. We should wait for the red tape to be torn down. When the churches step in directly, then things start to get tense. You're told you're doing it wrong, that you're skipping processes, you're told that you're causing problems, and eventually you're told to stop and to stay quiet. I think of the flooding that went through the Carolinas. And there was a guy that was flying his helicopter. I don't know if you heard this or not. And he was flying his helicopter, his personal helicopter, down in through there, looking for people to rescue. And he was pulling people out. He was rescuing people. And the local government had heard about this. And you know what they told him to do? To stop. To stop. We as Christians know this fear of criticism, this fear of labels, this fear of being misunderstood, of being canceled. And this guy has this fear now that if he doesn't stop rescuing people, that he will be arrested. He will be arrested if he doesn't go and help people. Yet we know that Jesus lived underneath these same circumstances. Luke 13, he healed on the Sabbath. He was teaching in a synagogue. There was a lady that was crippled over for 18 years. He saw her, he healed her. What did the Pharisees do? They were so mad. They were furious. They ran him out of the synagogue because he healed on the Sabbath. Sounds familiar, right? What did Jesus do? He fed hungry people. He was teaching his sermon, and it got late in the day, and the disciples wanted all 5,000 men to leave. And Jesus said, no, you feed them. He didn't wait for outsourcing compassion. He didn't wait for that. He didn't wait for someone else to come in and feed. No, he said, you feed them. Jesus also went into in-between areas where there were leopards, and he faced them, and he touched them. He didn't wait for someone else to heal them. He didn't outsource that. He crossed the lines, and he did that. In Mark 2, Jesus ate with tax collectors, the low of low. People called him a drunk because he was eating with them. Yet he did that because, he says, it's not the healthy who needs a doctor, but the sick. Helping broken people will always bother someone else. It will always bother someone else. Jesus never waited for approval. He never slowed down obedience to avoid backlash. He helped people because he knew that they needed help. That matters. That matters to us because we are being challenged to do the same thing. Being criticized does not mean that you are wrong. Being canceled does not mean that you have failed. Often it means that you are walking closer with Christ. That's exactly why Paul says in Galatians 1:10, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. If you are trying to please people, you cannot be a servant of Christ. You can only serve one master, and that master is God. And when you are afraid, when you're not being obedient, you are serving people. When you are afraid that you are going to be canceled for the things that you've done, you are not serving God. You're serving that fear. Paul makes it clear he's not chasing approval here. He's not softening the truth. He's not keeping peace at the expense of the faithfulness. Real grace often offends pride. Real grace often offends pride, and we hear a lot about pride right now. Faithfulness cost approval. If Paul preached what people wanted, there would be no opposition. Canceled does not mean what you're doing is wrong. Canceled often means that you're being obedient. Now, before we move on, I need us to realize that this has been placed in us from being little kids. This idea of being canceled is a new thing, but ever since we were little kids, we're told that we need to wait. We need to wait for adults to take care of it or whatever it may be. We can't speak up. We need to stay silent. This is programmed in us at little kids, and little kids are seeing more and more today than they ever have before. We as adults have to realize that we have to be better. We have to be the example. And I wanted you to see this video for King and Country. It's a song that shows these men watching what's going on in the world. And on the other side of the curtain is a reflection of these men as young children. And they see the same exact thing. And they have to deal with the same exact emotions that these men are facing. And I think that speaks to who we are, because at the soul of things, we're just human beings dealing with struggles. And we have to figure out ways to be better. So see this video this morning. We need God to forgive us for the things that we have done. Being uncertain, not being obedient, not for us, but for the little eyes that are around us. You see younger versions of these men watching, learning, taking notes. This isn't just a song, this is real life. They see what their mirror reflection sees on that screen. They see the war, they see the prisoner, they see the homeless, they see the sick, and they're watching their reflection. Everyone has someone watching them. Many of us have kids that are watching how we respond. Others maybe don't have kids at home, but now they have grandkids, nieces, nephews. Maybe you have students. Maybe you just have coworkers that are watching you. They're waiting to see how you're going to respond. They see when you're scared. They see when you stay quiet. They see when you take a step back. They see your obedience. They are watching at all times if you are actually going to take a step forward and help people, or if you're going to be the scared people in this society that are worried about being canceled. They're learning, is your faith bold or is it cautious? They're watching to see if your love is active or if it's delayed. They are watching to see if you choose safety over obedience. They also see when you are courageous. They see your compassion. They see when you step up and you're helping. You know that little voice that they say, Mommy, Daddy, why are we doing this? Why are we taking food to these people? Why? They are curious on why we are doing things. So this isn't just about you and your relationship with Christ. This is about the church being the church. It's about the little seeing you act. It's about you living your faith. It's about teaching people why you are loving. And that brings us to the next truth that we have to face. Jesus gave this assignment to his church, not to anyone else. He didn't give this assignment to the government. He didn't give it to the organizations that help. He gave it to us. Matthew 25:35-36 says, For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. And I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came and visited me. Notice who he's speaking to. He's not speaking to organizations. He's not speaking to the government. He's not talking to the Pharisees. He's talking to you and I. He is saying that you need to get up out of the pews and you need to go and do something. That you can't just sit here and call yourself a Christian. Because if you're not doing these things, then it's like doing that to Jesus. If you're not feeding the hungry, you are not feeding Jesus. You are directly opposing him. Jesus is making a radical statement here, and it goes like this. When you care for the least of these, you care for me. If we don't do these things, or if we wait, when we hesitate and tell ourselves someone else will handle it, or the system will handle it, or we can just wait for the government to step in, you're telling Jesus the same exact thing. You're telling him, hold up, let's wait just a few seconds. You don't need to go in there and help. Someone else is going to do it. And we know that that's not how Jesus works. That's not how Jesus works. Jesus never waits. He goes. He never delays. He's always moving towards people. He's always bringing hope. He's always reaching the hurting. And he calls his church, he calls us to do the same. In Acts 2, he says the church is to share resources, to eat together, to share meals. That's directly from Acts 2. He's calling us to be together, to assure that no one goes without. In Acts 6, he calls his church to take care of the widows in the town. He is making sure that his people are taken care of. He's not waiting for someone else to do it. He's not waiting for the government to step in. He is telling people that we need to go. They saw a need and they responded. The principle still applies today. Again, I'm not saying that government is bad. And some government programs are really good. They can provide resources, they can provide funding and coordination that the church just doesn't have. However, the church cannot be hands off on this. The church cannot pass up the responsibility to someone else. When Jesus says, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the prisoners, care for the hurting, he is saying that to his followers. He is saying that to his disciples. He is saying that to us. If Jesus said do it, then we do it. If we don't, we are going directly against what Jesus is saying. And this brings us to the reality that love moves faster than systems. Systems are built on structure, rules, and procedures. Again, those are good things, because if we don't have those things, everything crumbles. However, structure takes time, and time isn't something that hurting people have. People do not push pause when they're suffering, when they're hungry, when they are grieving. They don't push pause when they're sick. Every day matters. The church moves differently because love moves differently. And if we aren't moving towards broken people, we are failing. Love does not wait for permission. Love does not pause. Love sees a need and it steps immediately into that need. Hunger is urgent. Trauma is urgent. Loneliness is urgent. We see it today even more than we've ever seen it before. People are lonely. They need the church. We see the rate of people killing themselves going way up. That's because they're lonely. They need us as the church. There's no time to delay. We have to step into these crises right now. Acts 3 shows Peter and John. They see a guy that's lame, that can't walk. What do? They move towards him and they heal him, and he walks again. They don't wait. They don't have a discussion if they're going to get canceled by doing this. They don't wait to get permission. They just go and do it. And so God is giving you permission today. Go and do. Go and do. So stop waiting for permission. You don't need permission from Pastor Cody to go out and do work. You don't need permission from the people in town to go and do. Go and do now, because Jesus has given you that permission. Money can help for sure, right? We know that money helps. However, presence heals. People need your presence. They need to be healed. Providing resources matter, and the government and programs can help with that. But showing up, being there for people matters so much more. Sitting with someone while they cry, or offering a hand to help maybe clean their house, or maybe just praying for them. And not saying, hey, I'll pray for you later. Actually praying for them in the moment matters. The fear of being criticized, misunderstood, or even canceled cannot stop the church, because Jesus has given us the permission to go and do it. Jesus never said to wait. Jesus said to go. And he said to go and do it in love. John 13:34 and 35 says this: "A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so that you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciple if you love one another." He is saying that you need to go and love people like Jesus has loved you. Jesus saw your mess. He saw the crap that you were going through, and he pursued after you. So much so that he was willing to die the worst death ever, to be crucified. And he did that freely because he loved you. And now he is giving that commandment that we need to go and do the same to other people. We need to be so radical in our love that we chase down people and love them for who they are. Again, love is proof of our faith. Love is the evidence of obedience. The systems of the world are slow. Procedures, policies, and permissions can take weeks and months. But God's permission is to go now. Obedience cannot wait. When the church moves with urgency, we show the heart of Jesus to everyone. So in closing, we need to ask ourselves, who near you needs help right now? Who cannot wait? Who needs your presence? Who is hurting in ways that no form, no procedure, no committee can fix? Do not wait for permission. Go today. Do not wait for the perfect condition because it's not coming. Do not wait until it feels safe or convenient. Life doesn't produce safe and convenient. When someone is hungry, lonely, sick, or broken, waiting is not an option. If Jesus already told us to do it, we don't need to worry about the red tape. And here's the reality: obedience will sometimes get you criticized. It will sometimes get you misunderstood. And most likely, it will get you canceled. People will question your motives. People will say that you are overstepping. People will insist that you need to follow the rules of today's society. And yet, we know the rules don't apply to us because we have a guy named Jesus, and only his rules matter. Remember, church, we are never called to be safe. The church was never called to wait, to have perfect timing. The church was called to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. The church was called to go, not to hesitate. So go, step in, give, serve, learn, love. The world may not understand it. Systems may be slow. People may question your methods, but God sees it. God sees your heart. God honors it. God blesses it. So do not wait. Do not hesitate. You have the permission. Go. Go today. Will you pray with me? Father God, we thank you so much for that permission that you've given us. Lord, I just ask that as we get ready to leave this place, that we know that we are called to love, that we are called to seek after people. So Lord, allow us to do that. Allow us to get closer to the people that are in our homes, in our works, in our schools, wherever that may be, so that we can love them radically. Lord, allow us to see issues in our communities and allow us to run towards those issues, not to hide. Lord, allow our hearts to break for the people all over this country and this world that are going through hell right now, Lord. And they are struggling. And they're waiting for someone to show up, and no one's showing up. Lord, allow us be those people to show up. Allow us to be the people to show up today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.